Around the festive season, there's lots of calories knocking about, there's lots of pretty garbage food, and quite often that you can actually eat really badly without thinking too carefully about it. What I'd like to do is actually show you how you can take the humble vegetable, which is pretty much the cornerstone of a lot of meals, and you can turn them into something a little bit special. So it's just doing a little bit of craft and a little bit of technique to take things like Brussels sprouts, parsnips, carrots and potatoes, actually elevate them so they're really tasty, really good for you, but also dead simple, just with a few special tricks. Right, first things first, I'm going to kick some Brussels sprouts. Now Brussels sprouts, if you actually think about Brussels sprouts, there's not many people that haven't been traumatized by this vegetable at some point in their life. If you cook Brussels sprouts for 10 to 15 minutes, they'll have minimal nutritional value, and you have lots of scarred human beings. They can be really bad for you if they're cooked incorrectly. So what I'm going to do with them is I'm going to boil them quickly for about 3 minutes, then I'm going to refresh them. So refreshing is a chefy's term. We're going to stop the cooking process and we're going to allow them to have some flavour and some texture. Then I'm going to char grill them off in a grill pan with some coconut oil. Now the sort of health benefits of coconut oil is well documented, but what it will do is it will give you a beautiful flavour to the Brussels sprouts. So as opposed to being some soggy mess, we're going to have beautiful texture, we're going to have some crunch, and we're going to have a little sort of barbecue flavour going on. Around the festive season, there's lots of sort of ingredients that quite often get overlooked or can be cooked to oblivion, thus rendering them inedible and quite often nutritionally pretty poor for you. So taking the humble potato, so a roast potato is a wonderful thing. It's probably one of the most beautiful vegetables ever when done correctly. However, to cook a potato well is quite a tricky thing, and if you think about the typical family kitchen, there's lots of things going on and quite often potatoes can be overlooked. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how to take a potato like this. This is a sort of Roosevelt potato, it's a waxy new potato, and how to actually cook it really well, really simply, but it's actually going to retain a beautiful flavour and a beautiful texture. So what I'm going to do with the potatoes, cut them in half lengthwise, okay, very simply like so. Then I'm going to boil them for about 5 to 8 minutes, still firm, but they'll be soft in the middle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to roast them off in a grill pan. So it means that your oven, when it's full, you've got a turkey, you've got all manners of things going on in there, is you can actually use your stove to finish the potatoes. What happens with this is you get a beautiful crunchy texture on the outside, but then it's still sort of beautiful, soft and fluffy in the middle. Really nice way of doing potatoes. They can be done in advance. They don't need to go in the oven, almost idiot proof. One of the vegetables that's associated with winter most is the humble parsnip. I do like parsnips, a fantastic flavour. However, they can be quite tricky to cook. So what I'm going to do is show you how to take the parsnip and actually cook it really well, quite simply, on the stovetop in a pan. So we're going to cut the parsnip up, peel it, cut it up, take the core out, and then we're just going to cook it a little bit of coconut oil, but then we're going to finish it off with some honey. I've got some beautiful Acacia honey here, fantastic. Honey and thyme, touch of black pepper. So you've got there different flavour profiles, which are just going to work really well with the sweetness of the parsnip. I'm going to take an everyday vegetable today, carrots. Carrots are great, you know, they've actually got lots of goodness in them, really cheap, really accessible. And we're just going to give you a different flavour profile with the carrots. Going to cut them into little batons about sort of 5 to 10 centimetres long, and then what we will do is we're going to roast them off on the top in a pan, and we're going to flavour them off with a touch of honey and a touch of barbecue spice. What this does is it just makes the vegetable a lot more interesting. It works well as an accompaniment to richer meats, or indeed sort of plainer meats like turkey. You've got that barbecue, that honey. It just, those flavour profiles work brilliantly with carrots. So really simply roasted, barbecue spice and a touch of honey. The other thing you have to bear in mind as well, if you pre-prepare them like this, you can then essentially just throw them back in the oven for 3 to 4 minutes. Bomb proof.